Welcome students, I am Dr. Ravi Jaiswal from LBS Group of Institutions, Lucknow. I am working as Associate Professor in the Department of the Management Studies. Students, we are today we will be having the discussion on the buying situations, buying center and buying grid. This topic is the part of the paper B2B and service marketing. The paper code is KMBN MK03. So, first of all we will move ahead with the buying situations. Friends, buying situation basically is the part of the buying environment. When we talk about the business environment basically consists of too many factors that directly or indirectly influence the customers buying. Customers or the buyers may go with their purchases that may be affected by their personal elements or the environmental elements, but basically the environmental elements may consist different buying situations, and these buying situations are simply the set of the circumstances that surround purchase, such as the knowledge, experience of the purchaser. These basically these two elements, knowledge and experience of the purchaser, these two factors are very important, because products and vendors they facilitate the purchases, but what are their products, what are their qualities and prices, what are the vendors experience in particular field. The information of all these things is required and important for making the buying decisions. What level of efforts are required to make certain purchases? This element is basically associated with the buyers itself. So, when we talk about the buying situations, there are elements that may be associated to the buyer itself, or some elements may be associated to the sellers or the vendors or the distributors. So, we will be having different situations one by one. Now, we will move with the types of the organizational buying situations. See, buying situations are as discussed in last slide. These are some environments. Basically, there are three types of the buying situations for the organizations, and it may include the first is the straight rebuy decisions. Straight rebuy decisions are basically the foundation, it indicates the foundation of any business that it is going for the longer run. Straight rebuy decisions are basically based on the satisfaction level of the buyers, because if they are satisfied, they evaluate their past performances of the seller, and their purchases will be done only on the basis when that they are satisfied on the products what they are getting from the seller, or the services they are getting from the services. See, there may be different kinds of products that may be used for the daily operations, or for the routine purposes. So, basically straight rebuy decisions are taken for those products which are used on these kinds of operations, means they may be the raw material, they may be the services that are being used by the buyer on the daily basis for the production of the manufacturing of the goods, or the creation of the services. Purchasing of these kinds of goods means making the straight rebuy decisions, they directly they are directly influenced by certain criteria or certain parameters. The first is the quality of products. Quality of product is the kind for which the customers or the buyers go on the priority basis. quality of the product, if it is good enough and it is, if they are satisfied with the quality, then it will be an acting as a boost for making certain decisions which can go for the longer run. At the same time, the suppliers or the sellers may have certain terms and conditions then that may help the buyers for making the for making the repurchase decisions. So, easy terms and easy conditions that the suppliers are offering for the buyers, that also help to make certain kinds of decisions. Then the next is the regulatory in the supply of goods. There are certain regulations by the government that may influence positively or negatively. If regulatory options are there and they are working in the positive manner, positive direction, then supply of goods can be done with the state rebuy decisions. Relations of the organizations with the sellers itself or the distributor itself is also as an important element that make certain, that help in making the state rebuy decisions. There are two parties, basically at least two parties are involved in a certain transactions, buyers and sellers, and if buyers and sellers having the good rapport with each other, they are having the good relations, good communications between them, then certainly they will be feeling comfortable in making the future decisions easily. The personnel with the supplier, the next element is the personnel with the supplier. It means the person who are directly having the interactions with the buyers itself, then what is their perception, attitude or the personality or the behavior with the buyers. So, the personnel that are means who is directly having the encounter with the buyers, they will be giving an opportunity for certain these kinds of decisions. Then buying convenience. Buying convenience is the thing that that can be seen as a how the process is easy for the buyers to make the decisions. Mean there may be the prices, there may be the payment options, there may be the discounts, and there may be the other delivery options that may help, that may provide the convenience to the buyers for making certain decisions. So, these were the total criteria which were working behind the state rebuy decisions. In the same manner, if we talk about the modified rebuy decision, which is the second type of the buying situation. In modified rebuy decisions, buying operations generally evaluate the past performances as they were doing with the straight rebuy decisions. The in this modified rebuy decisions, if many times customers or the buyers may feel that they are not satisfied up to certain extent, or there may be some alteration just due to the change in the requirements, there may be change in the process, there may be change in the technology, there may be change in the in some other aspect that, or there may be change in the financial aspect of the organization. So, these are the aspects, these are the elements or the factors that may affect the modified rebuy decisions. Many times organizations are involved in making some new product. So, for making or making the modifications in the existing product. So, for new look, for new feel, or for new elements associated with the new product, they may modify their decisions for the buying of goods or services. So, modified rebuy decisions are basically when there is if less satisfaction, or there may be the changes in different aspects for the buyer organization. And third is the new purchase decisions. New purchase decisions is when the company is entirely new, or the company is going to buy the raw material that is going to be used in new kind of products, or there is, if they are going to launch or there may be maybe manufacturing some new goods that may offer some new kinds of the quality or the prices, then at that time the buyers may go for the entirely new kinds of decisions, means they require the goods or services that may be in past they may not be using or ordering. There may be the option that the organizations may go with the new process also. Sometimes new process requires new kinds of goods or the services. So, this the third is the third buying situation is the new purchase with the new purchase decisions, and these three decisions definitely have different aspects and differently they are going to have the impact on the decision process. Now, there are some factors that may affect the business buying. So, the first is the environmental factors. So, there are means there are factors that may influence the organizational buying behavior, organizational buying, and these factors may be associated with the organization itself, or they may be means taken from the internal sources, or the factors may come from the outside world. So, first is environmental factors, and environmental factors are the factors basically associated with the government regulations, mean the legal aspects of the business in which the business is working. They may go for different kinds of the permissions, the licenses, and for these purposes the government regulations they influence the activities or the decisions of the business buying. And secondly, there is the location. Location is another factor in the environmental aspects, because it is the location where you are working. If you are working in the say northern India, then your requirements will be somewhat different than those of the southern region of the India. It means as location changes, the customers also changes, and the customers or market, the change in the location happens with the change in the market or the customers, because there are different kinds of customers associated with the organizations, and they may be they may called as the stakeholders. So, the stakeholders directly have the influence on the organizations. So, location has important influence on the business buying. Third is the industrial development or changes. The area where the organizations or the business is working, if there is the less development, then they will having the one kind of the buying decisions, or if the development is some other kinds, or there is changes, then the buying behavior will be changed by the organizations. It means direct impact can be seen on the business buying for industrial development or the changes. Then comes technological advancements or changes. As soon as technology changes, there is every day we are coming up with the new technology. So, if we are opting for new technology, then for sure we are going to have different kinds of business buying decisions, and then the requirements will be changed. If earlier we were working with the non-computerized process, and now we are working with the computerized process, it means the new kinds of process is going to be adopted, and new kinds of the services will be used then. Then there is cultural factors. The cultural factors also have influence on the business decision making, business buying, because these are the people, these are the different cultures for which the organizations means they provide their services or their products. So, cultures is the aspect where means these factors they directly influence the business buying, because what product they are going to have by the organizations, it will surely depend on the buying decisions. Then comes second factor, which is the organizational factors. Organizational factors are the factors which are purely associated with the organization itself, and Here the very first and very important is the mission and goals of the organizations. Mission and goals or the objectives, they directly have the influence over the buying behavior, because if many companies are just they are non-profit making company, and second company is the profit making company. So, both the companies will have different kinds of the requirements and for their future also. So, the missions and goals, they will be having the great impact on the buying process or the buying behavior of the businesses. Organization structure is something that have again the different kinds of the impact on the buying decisions, because organizational structures are the means how the people are associated with each other. There may be a flat hierarchy, flat structure of the organization, there may be the hierarchical structure of the organization. So, if we talk about these two kinds of the organizational structure, then we can imagine in both the cases different kinds of person or the number of people will be, those who are getting involved into their buying decisions, they will be the different, and if this difference will create the different kinds of the buying decisions. What is the strategies and performance of the organizations? It means different kinds of strategies and performances going to affect the business decisions. The product what they are offering to the market, it will surely having the impact on the types of raw material used, types of the parts, the types of the services the organizations are going to use. Technology, the existing technology what the organizations are keeping in use. This technology have if they go with the buying the different kinds of services and the goods, that may support the technology that are in use in the company itself. So, these are the factors which are the organizational factors having the impact on the business buying behavior. The number third is the interpersonal factors. Interpersonal factors are the factors which are which can be shown, which can be the elements that can be taken in the group. So, what is the relationship with peers? Means if the people are working in the organization and at that time they may having interactions with the different level of the employees, and the relationship of the purchaser or the buyer with their peers will give the boost or the having the negative aspect to the buying behavior. There may be different kinds of group dynamics. It means many times in the organizations the decisions are made in the group, but sometimes in some organizations the decisions can be taken alone or by the small committee itself. So, this group dynamics also have the influence over the business buying behavior. The level of communication, what the communication level is there, if communication level is good enough and there is less barriers for the between the different levels of the hierarchy, then the kinds of information that flows from low level to upper level, it may be different from the organization where there is more barriers. So, different kinds of buying decisions can be taken by these two kinds of the organizations. Then comes the number 4 is individual factors. Individual factors means the factors which are associated with the individuals or with the employees itself, those who are making decisions for the purchases. The job position, the personal growth, these are the factors. Job position means at what position they are having, they are seeking for the promotion itself or not. What are the personal goals? If what they may go with the goals of having the increment, they may having the goals of switching the company, or they may having the goals like creating more and more better environment. So, these goals may have the influence over the buying behavior. Then the person who are involved in the buying, what experience they have, what the lifestyle they are living with, their attitudes, their opinions and their personality traits, These are the factors which are directly associated with the individual itself, those who are going to make the purchases, purchase decisions. So, these factors directly have influence on the different kinds of the buying behaviors. Now, the next is the buying power. Buying power is basically the ability to make the purchases. The idea behind the this, when we talk about the buying power, so in organization there are buying centers, those who has the buying power. So, now the question is, what is the buying centers? Buying centers are the basically they are the units that make the purchase decision, and these purchase decisions can be very complex just because of the buying center elements. Now, what are different elements? These elements are initiators, deciders, buyers, approvers and so on. So, the roles of these buying centers can be taken as, let's say, first is the initiator. Initiator is the person who basically talk about first about the requirement of the purchases, what kind of material is required. It is the person who is directly associated with the buying process. Second is the decider. Decider is the member who have the decision making power, means he is the person who will make the final decision about the buying of certain goods or services. Typically it is the finance manager. Next is there may be different element, may be the buyers. Buyers is the person who will be engaged with making the formal interaction with the sellers. It means the formal authority to select the suppliers and arrange the purchase terms and conditions. Then there may be the approvers. Approvers may be the members in the organization who generally authorize or who generally making the decisions finally, that what can the decision can be made regarding the certain kinds of goods or services. It means he generally approves the purchase. Then comes the influencer. Influencers are the persons or the individual or the group that may have their influence over the buying decisions, like research and development specialists are there in the organization. If they are there, then they may influence the buying decisions. There may be the users. Users are the people who are just going to use the raw materials, the products, the services. Then there may be the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are the people those who have the direct power of preventing the seller or the information that may be reaching to the organizations, to the buyers, and they may be the like purchasing agents, a receptionist or the secretaries and telephone operators. Means there may be these people, those who may influence they may prevent the information to penetrate in the organization. So, these were the elements, these were the different elements of different buying centers and the role of them. Now, comes the last is the buying grid. Buying grid is a model generally that helps to make the making the understanding regarding the purchasing decisions of the organization, and this was given by the Doerr and Tanner in 2006. Basically, buying grid model has 3 components, and 3 components is buying phase, buying class generally called as the buying situations, and the buying centers. And we can see the buying process, buying phase is generally made up of the 8 steps, and these steps are we already have the discussion in our last slides, last lectures. There are 8 steps: need recognition, type needed, defining the product, development of the detailed specification, then qualified suppliers search करना, उसके बाद acquisition and analysis of proposals, evaluation of the proposal, finally selecting the suppliers, then making the suppliers, selecting suppliers and or making the order procedure, and finally after getting the orders just evaluating the product performance. So, these are the buying phases, and after these buying phases, these 2 phases works. The buying class means buying situations, and buying centers means there are these 3 phases who work together to make the final decisions for the organization's buying. These are the references we can go through it. Thank you.